Good afternoon. My name is Ileana Soto, corporate attorney here at Corporate Division by Union Law Group, and you can find me at our San Isidro, California office. Today, I want to talk to you guys about H-1B visas and how we can help companies process these visas here at Corporate Division by ULG. If you have any questions, we invite you to put your question here in the comments section, and if there's time, we can gladly answer it. So essentially, the main questions that I get is what's an H-1B visa? How do I get started applying for one? What are the qualifications? Things like that. So we're going to go over a few of those very common questions. And like I said, if there's anything additional you'd like to know, please put it in the comments and we can go back to that. So one of the main questions is, what is the deadline for submitting H-1B visas and when should we start? So H-1B season is essentially divided into two parts. There is H-1B registration and there is H-1B filing period. So the H-1B registration period usually begins within the first or second week of March and lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks. Once registration period is over, USCIS will randomly select registration submissions that are eligible to file a full H-1B application. And so since H-1Bs are usually given in a sort of lottery type situation, they will continue to select until the H-1B cap is reached. And so there are H-1B visas, about 66,000 visas available each year. And so they'll continue to select until 66,000 visas have been reached. For those who have master's degrees, there are an additional 22,000 visas, but that's only if you have master's degree and above. Applicants whose registration was chosen, they will be notified and will be given a deadline to submit their application, also known as the filing period. So you'll have a filing period where you will prepare your application, get all the documentation in order, and you would have to submit all that documentation to USCIS by the given date. Usually that's by the end of June, but it can vary based on the selection that you were given, the selection notification. While the H-1B process starts in March, it's important to begin making preparations at least 2 months before to determine whether the prospective employee that you want to hire is eligible and how they're eligible. So next question that I get is what people apply for the H-1B visa. So H-1B visas are for those that are defined as specialty occupations. And while USCIS provides a list of most of the common specialty occupations, such as business, teaching, law, architecture, things like that, the main requirement is that a bachelor's degree or higher is required to perform that occupation. If the prospective employee holds a foreign degree, it's usually necessary to do an academic evaluation so that you can determine its equivalency to a U.S. bachelor's degree. What do you need to get started? So as I mentioned before, it's important to know whether your prospective employee has the required documentation and qualifications. So depending on the occupation that you are requesting for that employee, we'll need to know, are their education is in order, is their experience in order, and things like that. So it's highly recommendable to consult with an attorney ahead of time to see that everything is in order before registration period starts, because you don't want to get to registration period and then have your registration selected and see that your employee doesn't even qualify or meet some of the qualifications. So it's important to have that in order before you even get to the registration period. From the employee end, I get questions such as, if I'm approved for my H-1B visa, when can I enter the United States? So if all goes well and the employee's visa is approved, they will be able to enter starting on October 1st of the year that they apply. So in this case, this season would be October 1st, 2022. This is really important because while the visa could be approved beforehand, it still does not mean that you can enter before October 1st. The starting date for the visa will still have October 1st, 2022. So for the employee, it's very important not to make any plans to be here ahead of time. unless you have another eligibility coming in. But if you're planning to come in on your H-1B visa, it's important to know that October 1st is the first day that you can come in with that visa if you're an initial applicant. Another thing that I get asked is, I'm already here in the US and I have a different visa. Can I change that visa to an H-1B? And the answer is yes. You can change your H-1B status, your status, sorry, from the visa that you have to the H-1B. You have to make sure that that change of status is in order. However, if you do it while you're here in the US, you get approved and you have the approval for the H-1B. If you leave the United States, you will still have to go to a consulate to get that visa stamped into your passport. Because to be able to come back in on the H-1B visa, you'll need to have that stamp in your passport. Otherwise, they won't allow you to come in on that status. Another question I do get asked a lot is, are there possibilities of going from an H-1B to something more permanent, like a green card, for example? And that'll be based on your relationship with your employer. The employer can ask these kinds of questions, see if, maybe they're very happy with the employee's work and they would like to keep them on full time. And the answer for that would be yes. You can try and transfer from an H-1B to a green card. The important thing to note is that that is a totally different process, and it will be something that we can discuss further in a different live, perhaps. But it is possible. You just need to make sure that you have all the information to do so. And of course, one of the most important questions I do get from employees is, am I allowed to bring my family with me with the H-1B? What kind of benefits do I get on an H-1B? And the answer is yes. You can bring your family with you as derivatives. This only includes spouses and children under the age of 21. They can come in with you as derivatives of your principal application. This will be their H4 status, which is as a derivative. And other benefits you can have on an H-1B is you can have your social security number, you can get a driver's license, you can live here in the United States, and of course, being an H-1B, it allows you to work here in the United States. You'd be working for the employer who gave you the H-1B. You can't work for another employer. It'll be the employer that is on your H-1B visa. So that's important to note as well. I get questions about the spouse. Can the spouse work on an H4 derivative? And unfortunately, the answer is no. There are very limited exceptions, but for the most part, the answer is no. Unfortunately, if you are on an H4 visa as a derivative of an H1B principal applicant, only the person with the H1B visa can work. The spouse would not be able to. So I think those are the main questions, at least for the basics, to get started with an H1B. As I mentioned, it is very recommendable to talk to an attorney or to make sure that everything is in order before registration period starts. It's also important to know that H1B registration is the one and only time you can register to be in the lottery to be selected for the H1B. If H1B registration passes and you did not apply for that registration, then you will not be able to be selected for an H1B. So that's also important as well. So I hope this information has been helpful and has been useful for you. If you have any questions about this or any other immigration procedure, or any other visa that you might have questions about, we are here at your service to help here at Corporate Division. You can call us at our office at 619-797-8180, or write us to our Facebook platform, or write to our email at hello@unionlawgroup.com. I also invite you to contact us to schedule an appointment and start reviewing that information for an H-1B, because it's never too early to start. And for today, that's pretty much it. Again, I am Attorney Ileana Soto, Associate Attorney here at Corporate Division by Union Law Group, and we'll see you again soon.